not, a motion in order to accept the minutes.
The motion to approve the December 3rd, 2025 special meeting minutes.
There a second? Was made by Courtney, seconded by Andrea. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Opposed? Abstentions?
It's all abstained.
David abstained as a new member that wasn't here before. The next item on the agenda is review of a communication. We have the Donovan Group here. Patrick, you want to introduce him?
Sure. I need to make sure that he can, Liam, can you hear us?
Yep, I sure can.
All right, and perfect. We can hear you as well too. So I think as it was mentioned, I know it's been a while now with the breaks and stuff. But we signed on with the Donovan Group, came recommended CAPS, which is the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents, to assist with essentially communication, be engaged in as far as like a referendum roadmap. So in your packets, and I know it was sent electronically too, because there's links within there. There was a draft as far as the referendum roadmap. Certainly a starting point, not an end point. Certainly everything is changeable in there, but that was provided by the Donovan Group as a starting point. So with that, I'll give it to Liam just to introduce kind of like his role, the group a little bit, and kind of what you have before us. And then I think we just go have a discussion on this. Does that work for you, Liam?
Yeah, it sure does. Thank you for the kickoff, and yeah, good to meet with everybody and begin the conversation about this effort for East Windsor. I'm a partner with the Donovan Group. We're a 20-year-old strategic communications firm that only works within the public education space. So all of our partners in states across the nation are public schools and public school districts. As Patrick indicated, we do have a partnership in Connecticut with CAPS. One of the things we do statewide in Connecticut is provide on-call 24/7 crisis communication support. But another big effort we work on across the country are referendum efforts like this. And the philosophy we really bring to the table is that communication and engagement is not only inherent to a successful effort when you think about success at the ballot box, but also one that treats community members with respect and sustains and builds trust in the district as an enterprise, as an entity, as something that families and communities count on to educate their kids and provide opportunities. So it's a time where the eyes tend to be more on the district, especially among members of your community who tend to be more disengaged with the school district. So we really try to lean into that and then work with you collectively to develop a strategy that adheres to those principles about honesty, transparency, integrity, while providing the information and engagement points to allow people to learn more about the need and about the opportunity in a referendum effort like this. So I'll leave it there for the moment. I should just say, sort of my background, I've worked in and around public education for more than 25 years, which makes me realize how old I am. I've worked nationally and in states with education nonprofits. I've worked with elected officials, including governors and associations that represent the nation's governors. So I've worked in communication realms at a pretty high level. And, I think I lend my sensibility to an effort like this. It's not just me, though. We're a team of now 36 people, and also one of our communication strategists who specializes in bond referendum and operating referendum is working alongside me on this effort as well. I know Patrick has had the opportunity to meet Jake Kurtz, who's on our staff. And as we move forward, I imagine some of you in the room will have an opportunity to move him as we move forward toward a ballot item on a future election day as well. So Patrick, I'll leave it there for now, but happy to kind of then come back in and have a discussion, ask questions, address any concerns about kind of the strategy, and I know the roadmap that's also an agenda item for this evening as well.
Thank you, Liam.
So I guess, committee members have gotten, we didn't do the agenda until yesterday. I think you got it yesterday. Did y'all have a chance to look at this, and do you have any comments? We go section by section. Jason, I know you had a couple comments.
I did. I looked through on the document. So give me a second.
Yeah, share them with the rest.
Have it.
We can start with the first section, which is East Windsor Public Schools is committed to providing students with an educational experience and learning environment. Draft part is where they'll thrive. The third bullet in that is that either we do one or the other? We do the second or the third bulletin, it appears.
I think these were just notes to start to add more to it. So it was the
Oh,
start.
okay.
So it's essentially like highlighting.
Oh, just sort of
Correct,
saying
yep.
this is what we do underneath
Yep.
each. one.
So,
Okay.
so that needs to be refined. But it was just starting point because again, it was like a draft and was adding things as far as so like, for example, like our growth rate has increased every year over the last 4 years. It was giving some of our profiles as far as that our district does have a level of high needs, as almost 60% are eligible for free and reduced lunch, or approximately 20% special ed, and among the Alliance districts, which represent 44% of the total student population, we have continuously been in the top 3 districts as far as our growth rates for the last
Right.
3 years, 4 years, Daryl, 3 years or 4 years?
I think it's 3, yeah. So the others have solid subcategories, bullets underneath them because they're more concrete. Should we be focusing on that particular number 1 on what to add to it? Your thoughts?
What to add to,
Because the others, for instance, the condition of the buildings, that's pretty much already kind of spelled out.
Yeah.
But the first one looks like it needs us to be providing information.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, because it's speaking about the learning environment, this was a starting point. One of the things that I can do, and again, the Donovan Group had just joined just before the break. And so in fairness, we haven't spent a lot of time on as far as the entire document. What I can do is with the school leadership is build those bullet points as far as essentially expanding on our academic successes along with like our arts, because like, I mean, Brian, when that went to the band concerts during the break, I mean, our band program and music programs are up to 200 kids. They sounded wonderful. We certainly have had some sports success, and there's some other things that we can highlight beyond just the traditional classroom. So we can get that done relatively. I can get that done by the end of this week, honestly.
I just ask, what is the point of the key messages? Are we trying to justify with this information, why we want new buildings? Why we want to do what we're doing? Or we're just explaining where we are? Because if we're looking at why we want new buildings, why we need what we're doing, I think that what needs to be in number one is what drawbacks we face with the current setup that we have.
Yeah, I look at, Liam, it sounded like you were going to say something, but I can add to.
Sure. I mean, I was just going to say I mean, that's really kind of the fundamental question, right? Like, what are these key messages meant to do? And, I think a document like this is meant to form kind of the foundation for some of the communication deliverables and strategies that will flow out from this type of an effort. So number one is definitely a little different than sort of the messages under kind of 2 through 5, which are a little more, concrete and a little more about the effort. I think why number one is important, and it's going to be really important to get kind of your voice and sensibility into that, because you obviously know your district, more than I do as a relative newcomer to this effort. Is because this is an opportunity also to introduce the district to even members of your community who just aren't paying attention to it on a regular basis, right? If you district residents who may be new to the community, don't have students in your schools, don't work in your schools, on a given day aren't spending a lot of time thinking about the district and its schools. So an effort like this where you kind of shine a light on the district, you shine a light on your needs and the opportunities with these building projects, it's also important to sort of, like I did at the start of this meeting, introduce yourself as a district, lean into your successes, and sort of paint a picture for kind of the culture and the community that exists there. So ideally, number one kind of gets us to that point. And then all these other pieces, we're going to look to then really, we want to settle upon these messages because we're going to really then look to find a home for these messages in all the different pieces of collateral that will be put together around this effort. And those pieces of collateral can be, things like slide decks that would be used in in-person meetings, to a postcard, to a video. All this will get infused over time. So this can be a living document. We can tweak some of these talking points moving forward, but I think your sensibility, your viewpoint about whether these are right, whether the language is right, is a really valuable thing at this point.
Should, if I can ask a question, should we have a percentage number, like it's increased 5% every year or something like that? Or are you kind of hesitant to show that number based on what the public may think? Well, it's only 2%. That's really not a lot, but maybe it is because they don't really understand what 2% means to maybe a bigger number. You know what I mean?
I think if it's
Like if it's 10% every year.
Like the growth rate.
Yeah.
There is, so I will tell you,
It may be
it's like we could give it's based on an index and a formula. We can give that number. I just don't know how well that
How-
number would be
how
understood.
relative it would be.
Yeah, and that's
The
kind
method.
of the second part of my question. It's like it may not, but someone may ask, and like someone like me who's just first meeting, I'm thinking, oh, what is that number?
Yeah, so like I can tell you like our index number, which is based on like several factors, not just one factor. It's not like just based on your standard achievement scores. It's a number of things like we had one of the highest index numbers as well too. And I want to say, was it 2.5 points? But like the state average was 1
Yeah,
and we were 2.5. But like if you say you raised 2.5,
What does that mean?
yeah.
yeah, and it doesn't sound like much, but
Yeah.
times it by
it does.
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 years from now, that could be a lot
Yeah,
more.
but that number's like, it's a formula that's factored on multiple scores. I want to say like we were at, I don't know, at like 67.5 or something is the actual index number, which is not like a typical, it's not like a scale of 100.
Yeah,
So it's
be hard for the public to really
Correct.
understand it.
I mean, so like we can say like we're above average, we're twice that like above, but like
Twice the state average.
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, but you're talking 2 points versus 1 point, and you know, even though it's double, it's not like,
It's not like, oh my God.
yeah, it's significant though. Don't get me wrong, it is significant, but as far as to like to put it in like that's easily quantified, that's the challenge.
I get it. I know it's not an easy, I didn't know if it would be a benefit or if it would be more of a hindrance, because you know how.
I don't think it's a hindrance. It's, you know, people will look at it and not understand what it is.
So I don't even know how you could really portray that number where it would actually make sense. I was just asking why you didn't include it. Thank you.
Any other thoughts on that?
I'm just wondering if that were to come up, if we had like a public meeting, somebody did ask that, what would it say?
I think
To
that would,
get people to understand it, because I know I want to.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we could do is we do have graphs in which like basically lists all the, like the Alliance districts and like you'll see like all, almost 40 of them. And it'll show East Windsor number 3, it'll show who's 1 and 2, it'll show the communities that, that are behind us. And like, I mean, we have those graphs that we presented the board. It's easy to put in, like we could put a link in there with that graph and we could pop it up right away.
Any of those school districts behind us have got new buildings.
I can tell you.
They've already done it, so
I can tell
we're
you-
ahead of them.
Yeah, so I can tell you like a neighboring is,
Yeah.
they're having the same discussions and they're moving faster than us.
So
in all
that would
honesty.
be something to bring up.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, our scores are higher,
Yeah,
but they're moving faster and they have more schools.
and they could
that-
potentially pass us on
Oh, yeah. Yep.
scores now, so.
I thought like we were going.
Yeah. So are we going through each one?
I think it'd be better, like with people taking a look at, is there a certain area that you want to focus on? Is there something that doesn't make sense? Is there something that needs further discussion? Certainly, obviously, this is a starting point.
Yeah, I was excited to have this finally, this, to be honest, the communication calendar
Yeah.
was
And-
nice to see like things put in place,
Yeah.
like we're getting involved.
And to be honest, like myself, Jason, Denise have had limited opportunity to like dive deep in this with CSG and obviously they need to be a key component as well because they have key information. I know that Jason has gone through this in depth and offered some very valuable feedback that, you know, I'm sure we're going to incorporate as well. So with that, I wonder if it's even more like use of time would be to look at the actual calendar in the back where it actually says December, January. Again, this was as a starting point. Because it goes to February, April, focus more as far as the things that are taking place and then looking at kind of the leadership working with the experts as far as CSG and the communications find as far as messaging and that stuff to take forward as we look at the calendar as far as the things that are due. When does that make sense?
I did have a question about one of the things that was on there for December, the create a one-page flyer, because I haven't had a chance to like click on the link, but is it there to like see the guidelines for district employees? Election.
Yeah.
guidelines?
Yeah, if you click that hyperlink, that will lead you to that document. And yeah, we will continue to do that. I mean, obviously, increasingly, some of these things will be much more graphical in nature. I mean, obviously, a news release won't, but a lot of things will be very graphical in nature. But that will still take you to documents like that. As you're looking at the calendar, I just want to kind of put this into a little bit of context. I talked a little bit about our kind of philosophy around kind of transparency and with regard to these efforts and kind of building trust. Another philosophy we have in terms of just the communication strategy around this is for districts not to shift too quickly to the solution, right? Again, it leads back to the idea that, you know, a lot of you are paying attention to this, you know, the nuts and bolts. Most of your community members are not. And it's really important to not just start focusing on the fix and on the solution, but make sure you engage in communication, but also engagement around the need. And you know, I think we're beginning to do that. But what this calendar doesn't really show is kind of where that shift occurs, right? You know, early in the process, a lot of the conversation is about the need, like our buildings need this, our students need this, here are the details. Eventually that will shift to more of a conversation and discussion about the fix, right? The solution, the ballot item. Obviously, this calendar doesn't get us to that date yet, in part because I think, you know, there's still a little bit of a conversation about what that date will be. So that's something you will see as we develop that out, as we get a specific ballot date, and we're able to then sort of backfill kind of the communication strategy leading up to that point. So hopefully that's helpful. There's sort of a limited focus on this. It's more kind of front end proposed deliverables, and know that, you know, this is not scripture, right? If there are things, and I think, you know, Jason's left some really good comments in here about some strategies. If there are things that you'd like to see or things on here that you don't think will work, that feedback is really, really valuable to us as well. And our team is we're a full creative shop, right? We can do all this work. This is not work we're assigning to you. We can take all this content creation on, written content, visual content, video content. So that's all everything we're prepared to, you know, to work with you on leading up to election day.
Yeah, I used the share screen, obviously, based on, like you can see it. Yeah, so it's essentially like that. Specific attachment is like what's allowed, what's not allowed, elections, advocacy, guidelines for school employees. Like the first one, it says you can use your personal time, your personal resources to advocate for or against candidates, positions, and ballot questions. What you cannot do is use school resources, including property, time, or funds, advocacy related election, and like it goes through a number of things that can be used as a resource.
We are allowed to use the school property to hand out flyers. Yes.
Correct. As far as like for information, you know.
Not advocacy.
Correct. Yeah. So you're providing
Now
information,
We can't one saying, please vote yes.
Correct.
Can't do that.
but you could say that like the vote is taking place on this day, or, you know, this is what a yes vote does. This is what a no vote does. This is what's included. This is what's not included.
I feel like we are, you know, going along with what Liam says and how we're in a formational point right now with the community, but I feel like we're not aligned with how far we've gone because we're seemingly a little further past that than, you know, at this point, we're waiting for legislation and such things to see when we can get what dollar amounts.
Right.
So,
We're kind of on hold on some pieces.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But we still know that information that can still be communicated
Yeah.
to the community.
Yeah. But I just wonder if, I mean, because we were supposed to start this last year. And if I was somebody and I come out and we're so conceptually far ahead that when we go and talk to people, we need to be ready to say, well, yeah, we meant, I guess we don't say that we should have started this last year, but you know, we're still open to, we'll have to paint the picture in such a way that we're not that far ahead that we can't make changes or whatever, that ideas will be considered. And, you know, this isn't a done deal, how we have it set up.
Right.
Because, you know,
Which is certainly absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And we we don't have plans for a school. We just have a concept. And we can't go to plans for a school until we know how much money we can spend.
Yeah.
It was kind of a catch-22 of, oh no, but yeah, so the communicating that is why we had somebody like Liam helping us to make sure we don't get ourselves in trouble.
Yeah.
I do like the information section. Bathrooms are outdated. Schools have been built like, in the 50s or whatever it may be. And just some of that, ADA compliance, roofs, windows. I mean, I remember when I was on the board of ed, none of this class is even close to probably what it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things we did internally right for the break was talk about how a number of community members may not have been in the schools. We've talked about tours, but one of the things we've also talked about is taking videos and pictures so that you can make a 2-minute essentially like video and presentation that takes you through some of these spaces. So like perfect example, Kyle did it fast. I think it's this week. Is it this week? Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like we have a drone going over the roof to highlight all the blister repairs to our roofs. We identified all the areas within the schools that we want to get photos with the photographer, including like bathrooms, heaters, windows, asbestos ceilings, we created the list of that this week, reaching out to like the school photographer to go through that so that they're high quality pictures. So like those are things like in the background too, as far as putting that together for the people that may not show up for a tour of the school, but still finding ways to get the information to the public as far as how a lot of these things are outdated. Science labs, which we were cited on in a recent facility report with the state, which is the structural program. It has nothing to do with the curriculum or the integrity of the instruction, but it has to do just with the physical space, which are things that we're unable to change.
I would suggest we also have, in our pockets, when we go to these meetings with the public, I remember that conversation that we had in town hall where we had people come. There were a lot of people in the audience, and we had that pros and cons list of why the 5th grade is because I'm sure that's going to come back up again. And that helped to really define why we're including the 5th grade. That's good. Like with that building, because I know that question is going to come back up.
Yeah.
One other
Wonder if it's just-
remark I'll make really quickly is that we're a big fan when you develop sort of a referendum website. We're a big fan of a really robust FAQ section, frequently asked questions section, that can address a lot of kind of small issues that are going to come up or you hear coming up that then we can sort of add to. So that's a really good strategy. I mean, it can be really hard, obviously, in different pieces of collateral to get into a lot of the nitty gritty, but the website can become a really good center point for all the information you're putting together for people to gain access to. And an FAQ section can be a really good fallback section, not only to deal with sort of, basic questions like, what is a bond referendum? What does this mean, down to some of the nitty gritty about, what's a building deficiency? What about this issue with regard to the 5th grade and where it will be housed? It's also a great point for, for sort of advocates, for people that want the district to be successful, to also, kind of glean their own talking points and information that can help them respond to questions they're hearing around the community as well. So that's something, will be, and I think that's indicated here on the roadmap too. That's something we definitely want to work with you to help build out as part of your web page around the referendum too.
So we probably can, actually Fran can pitch in a whole lot of FAQs all by herself. But you're good at that, but that's probably something that this committee and the Board of Ed and now anybody that's involved with the project can just sort of gather those and drop them off on something for Liam to make available.
Yeah, I think what would be helpful is if members have specific questions, like Fran, I wrote like, some of the examples you gave, like the fifth grade, there's a couple other ones that, like, why we prioritize certain things, some of the challenges. But if people have specific questions that you feel that should be included, that as far as the answers with FAQ, I would say email those to me, and that would be helpful to build that.
I think maybe something Brandon again is the one that has drilled this into my head. The explanation of 2 schools, 1 campus. What exactly does that mean? Because that is going to be a
That's huge.
question that will keep
Yeah.
coming up and is.
Yeah.
You don't think of any others right off the bat?
And one I always keep hearing is about the busing. The kids can be on the same buses as the high school kids.
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely.
Anything that mixes the middle school and the high school.
Or separate.
Right. Concerned about that.
Look at that. We've already got 3, Liam.
I'm taking notes, but I need more help.
The more the better. So this way, it looks like the committee's addressing it and thinking about it.
Yeah.
So when these people get online, they're like,
Not
how
like
are
they're
they?
stored.
Yeah, like, oh, look at that. They addressed that too. Maybe it doesn't answer the question 100%, but maybe they at least feel like, oh, hell, they're actually thinking about it.
And I wonder if we take this like 2 months at a time. I mean, we're already on January 7th, but if we look at February and work backwards to where we are now. Because one of the things that sticks out to me is like, in this draft, and again, it's a draft, like we have a community meeting, and we've talked about community meeting a number of times. We talk about like that makes sense to have one in February. My suggestion would be make it at the end. We'll have another ad hoc before that. If what needs to be brought to the ad hoc in review and preparation for that. And that, you kind of set a milestone to hit along with a benchmark in between, along with some tangibles to bring in between, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because our next meeting will be February what?
4th.
4th.
No.
So if we're meeting February 4th, if we had to, review whatever we want incorporated, we still have, if we do a community meeting late, as you're suggesting, we could always have a special meeting if we had to just go over, okay, are we all set with this? In fact, it might be a good idea to plan on that. So all the things to be determined in the January, how are those going to be accomplished?
I mean, these are, so as far as like creating posts, like messages, the fact sheet. I mean, we have the website,
Right.
I mean, Liam, I know you're the expert, but I'm looking at this and thinking like these are manageable tasks that could be completed by the February 4th meeting. Are you thinking differently, like looking just
No.
strictly in January?
No, I mean, absolutely. Again, we've got a team. It's, I mentioned myself and my colleague Jake. We also have a graphic design team, a social media team, a video team. So we have multiple kind of cooks in the kitchen that can put this together. So again, we're still working on a few of the building blocks, some of these, some of the messages, trying to make sure we have the right content to move forward with. But I think all of these items in January are definitely accomplishable during the course of this month. Absolutely. And again, it's a starting point. We want to get a lot more aggressive, but we want to make sure that you're also poised for success, as some of these community meetings start and continue, into February. We want to, there's even some pieces of collateral like that standing banner in February. We might decide we want to maybe move that up and get something like that ready. So, I know we have a check-in tomorrow, Patrick, and we may want to, kind of go through and just kind of go through this with a fine-tooth comb and think about whether the ordering and whether all the needed items are front-loaded, into January, at least as a starting point.
Well, I would just note that some of the things on here as deliverables for January, you really can't do until you know the public meeting date in February. But that unlocks the rest of it, so if you knew you were doing the last Wednesday in February, as an example, then you can start building out your email message, your press release. So that,
Maybe looking at your calendar and our calendar.
really one.
Oh, that's what I feel like. Can we look in, even if it's tentative, and
Yeah.
well,
To
at least
see
you've
if there's
done
a
your
conflict.
messaging, and then you could adjust it slightly if the date has adjusted slightly, because you still have plenty of time, because we're meeting on the 4th.
So the last Wednesday's a board meeting.
We're looking at February, right?
Yes.
Oh,
How about the last Thursday, 26th,
you don't have a meeting that night?
on the 5th and 19th?
Neither?
Is that,
Is that a school function, Frank? Just like,
No, it's, to be honest, it's ballet and conservation commission.
no, I just asked because, like, obviously we wouldn't want to contradict if there was like a,
Yeah, no. Event or something. On Tuesday?
Well, if you did it early, it doesn't all start until 7.
I would expect a community event like that would probably, we need time.
Yeah.
More than now.
Yeah.
I would say this is 6.
So 6 o'clock start?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You gotta give people enough time to come home, but you don't want it to be too late when they're out.
Yeah.
But
Where do you want to do it? What's your most beat up meeting space?
That's what I was thinking, like the high school cafeteria.
When I was in the high school bed.
I don't know, the middle school cafeteria is pretty uncomfortable. That would be,
I mean, you do want, so I wonder if you do the middle school auditorium. I mean, that's where we did the CSG, because you can line the chairs up. I don't know if I'd want to put people in the cafeteria tables. I mean, they are built for kids.
I think that was Jay's point.
Yeah. Yeah, but 2/26, 6 p.m. Middle school auditorium.
Okay with it? Back to back?
Yeah, I can always get somebody else to take my kid to dance. Yeah.
6 p.m. So that was a good suggestion, Jacob, so that we can then fill in a lot of blanks in the different things that we have here.
If we're drafting a news release and drafting an email and all of these things in January, do we as a committee need to approve these things before they're used?
January 4th.
Okay, so then all of these meeting and events in January, what, is there anything that we can do at or with any of those?
I think continue to do the flyer distribution.
Yeah, what we have.
Okay.
There's no downside to that.
No,
Because they're all a variety of different kinds of events, and we just got a bunch more printed. So how many more did you get, please?
Just because. I want to say 1,000.
Yeah, so we've got plenty to cover the events.
I mean, we did 500 to start. I will say they went a lot faster than we anticipated. Noreen actually has the last 50 and she's at the block party.
She's working on commission.
Yeah.
Passed out a lot that night.
Yeah.
Was there.
Yeah, between, it's all a blur now, but,
High school.
music.
the high school, there was, and then, Broadbrook, we passed some out too for the concerts during the day. So I would say like it definitely, accomplished as far as the goal, as far as awareness.
Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen. Yeah.
Have we put any other places in the community yet?
We have
We
not.
kind of ran out.
Yeah.
Patrick and I did go to the community center and meet with the seniors for coffee last month or the month before.
Yeah.
I will be honest, I'm not sure that the concept sunk in there, but certainly we could do that again. I'm actually going there tomorrow. So that as the materials we're talking about here develop, we can do that again.
Is there a place to leave some of those?
Yep.
So now that we have a new batch, maybe we could drop off a batch there.
I also thought about, the library playgroups.
Show up.
Yes, I actually,
Playgroups at the library.
I was prepared to do this because I was quite next door. So,
That's the one that's through the FRC here.
oh,
Very well attended.
are you?
I'm not involved anymore, but
Sorry, what's
the playgroup that Ann does here.
Okay.
Through FRC, she's
Oh.
also the story time person at the library.
Sorry, time.
Sorry.
It's the way she pronounces it. She's awesome. I love her. This one, Starry Time.
I can do the library.
Yeah, and I can,
need a
It's
batch.
the same person.
and I can do the play groups. I'm
Mhm. They have,
I'm commonly running in the building as I see like they're taking place, so I can just, it's just a matter of scheduling and
Yeah.
they take place every week.
So do you all, as these documents are completed by the fact sheet, the email message, all of that, as they're completed by the document, do you want them one at a time, or do you want them before the next meeting, which will get you the information like the Friday before, so that you could review everything?
I wouldn't mind it one at a time as they come out.
Okay.
Have to look at it. Under.
Guys have my email in.
I actually, Dave, if you could, provide that, that'd be. Although, did you get the, I don't think.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, so,
Actually went to the town website.
no, yeah, so
Thanks for being.
we missing any other new appointed members?
So the Board of Ed member
It's-
will have to, Jason, you make the appointments, right?
For the board ed member?
Yeah, we make a.
Only if you guys don't trigger the statutory time. You have the first bite unless you don't do it in time, then we.
Oh, okay. For the member to this group.
Oh, that you do anyway.
We need another board of selectmen member.
I was just wondering if Rick would be interested.
I knew I should have stayed home tonight. Yeah, I would be.
So we'll need to get, Rick's email too.
I'll get him appointed next Thursday.
And we'll talk about Board of Ed member at the meeting on Tuesday.
You could do it. I would.
No.
They're debating over here.
Yeah, yes, I saw that. I'm in the middle. Kate's in the middle. That's why I said we'll decide. Remember, you two decide, time to decide what you're doing.
She okay you?
So are there any other comments on the calendar? Sounds like we have a good next step. Thanks to Liam, a lot of things coming up that we'll be able to look at and present at, the opportune times, including community conversation, which is great.
Please.
Yeah.
Is it okay to mention the date of the community meeting yet?
Because we have our P2 meeting on Thursday. If it's okay.
She has PTO on Thursday. I don't see any reason why
No
not.
reason why not to. Liam, this is Jason. When we spoke, just before Christmas, I'm not sure if I shared with you that, I have access to a reverse 911 system that I use for community updates. As you have things that are available, if you want to draft something that can be, reduced down to a 20-second blurb, then I can incorporate that a couple of calls before we do stuff,
That's it.
whether it's this community thing or just in general. But it hits about 6,400 phones.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We can absolutely do that. We'll make sure we draft something that fits within those confines.
Thanks, Jay. That's a great idea.
Want to ask, because I know I heard you had some ideas on some of the stuff that was in here, but I don't see it anywhere.
Oh, it's all on the
Yeah,
Google
we
Doc.
have
There's a
electronic-
bunch of them.
Yeah.
It's shared with.
I can go over them if you want.
I would be curious.
Okay, so under the bullet points and and Liam, I've been adding to these throughout the course of the meeting.
I see him. Good stuff.
Oh, he is? Okay. Are you the koala?
You must be, I don't even know what that is.
I'm a goat. Yes.
I think it's a llama.
It's a llama.
The llama less so.
I was a python earlier.
So, in the first bullet under number one, key messages, number one of the things that I noted, and I understand it's a preliminary draft, but Patrick was benchmarking progress since his appointment as superintendent. And I think that it really, I don't think that that's really what the community benchmark ought to be. I think it needs to be more of a progression from where we were to where we are to where we hope to be. But had I been drafting it, I would have done the same thing because my frame of reference was just when I started. So I get that. I wasn't sure as to whether or not bullet points was the best way of laying out the arguments there or whether some sort of a visual medium made more sense. But we talked about the insertion of graphs, so kind of covered that point. The next one is relative to bullet number 2. And I made the notes in the last bullet point in number 2. So talking about the upsides of right sizing schools, one of the things that I think we need to be able to have some sort of a quantification of is what the true dollar savings to taxpayers will be from the Board of Education from reducing our facilities from 3 campuses down to 2, which I think we could probably figure out something there. Which, that savings could be used to repurpose towards debt service. So that lessens what the overall tax burden would be on residents. Going to bullet point number 4. We talked about the our review process. So we've done a survey of parents with children in the district, and I just, as a general note, think that at a point in time, probably very soon, the outreach needs to shift away from the parent population into the voting population, which are not necessarily the same thing. And that's why we're doing things like Patrick and I doing the coffee at the community center, trying to figure out, bringing information to where people are or soliciting feedback from where people are instead of just our fish bubble, so to speak. In bullet point number 5, they talk about new construction for the middle and high school campus is projected to be lower than renovating building new is projected to be lower than renovating the middle high. We need to explain to people why that is, because that is not a concept that easily comports to normal conventional thinking. You would think it's got to be cheaper to renovate. It is unless you're adjusting your reimbursement rate scale, and then the dollars come into play very clearly. And even an adjustment of a few percentage points when you're talking about costs that are approaching the 9 figures is a significant savings. So we need to explain more clearly why building new is cheaper than renovation.
Which I think to piggyback off of that too, just highlights the problematic areas because of like the number of issues with like what they've called envelope
Mhm.
with.
Right, the two roofs versus one roof.
Just a structural.
Yeah, which, you know, tells you what type of shape they're in. In fact, it's less expensive.
There's a link in that same bullet point to the estimated cost. I think that's the one that goes to CSG's page, but it's not opening right now. Hang on a second. Yeah, the link that goes to the CSG 3-pager. I like how that is developing. One of the things that I think is missing from that is to show what the local costs for the projects would be if we did get the 80% reimbursement rate, because that's the number that we're going to need for the projects to pencil out. So it shows the cost breakdown, renovate new construction, 53% reimbursement, 63% reimbursement, but it doesn't show the 80% reimbursement. And I think that that's it's our goal. It's what makes the project viable. And especially as we move forward through the legislative session,
Right.
it should come into focus that whether or not that's attainable. So I think that needs to be laid out. I reiterate that there's $30 million locally that's available. That plus the final, so yeah, it's just a recitation of the number that we need to get there. I mean, at some point, somebody's got to point out that if this project moves forward, it equates to somewhere between an 8 to 10% tax increase. And that's the number that we're not going to be able to hide from.
Yeah, no, we've talked too about, we really need to show what the average cost is to someone's taxes to.
Yep.
I think that would actually even be better than. What is that dollar?
Yeah, I agree with that. They talk about the insertion of ballot language. We're not going to have any say at all in what the ballot language is going to be. So in terms of the messaging, that is going to be whatever the bond attorney tells us is going to be, because that's what the law is going to require us to do. So
Yeah, I took that as it goes in there. So like we're using messaging, like I've gone to, I'll use my own experience voting for a new school in the town I live in. I knew what I was going there for and exactly why I was voting. And there was 2 questions. And one was on building a new community pool, which I would have voted no on, hadn't, but I could not differentiate the language between the school and the pool. So I voted yes, because I didn't like the school was that important. But I wish I had saw the language ahead of time so I could have informed myself more as far as what I would have and wouldn't possibly have voted on. It's like a $9 million pool.
yeah,
That didn't pass.
With your vote.
Well, yeah, I don't think it was the single vote, but if people were as confused as me, yeah, it possibly could have been.
in the references in the calendar to social media, one of the things that I stressed, and a lot of some of these notes I've added subsequently, but some of them were before our introductory meeting with Liam and Jake, which I was very, very impressed with. So some of this stuff is a little bit dated, but one of the things that I was stressing from a social media perspective is that should be paid social media. We should not rely on that being organic, because we want to capture as much of the market share in the voting population as we can, not just rely on our own networks, because the other guys are going to have their own networks too. And we want to be flooding the zone, I think, in terms of the message.
Yeah, when you mean paid, like the one that just like boosts it out,
Yeah.
a greater
Yeah.
audience. Yeah.
And it's stupid cheap to do it.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's so,
Um, We've done that actually, like for like things like kindergarten registration.
Maybe Author's Day.
Actually, good.
When talking about the general media outreach, one of the things I wanted to make sure that the Donovan Group was aware of is that there is very little, almost no local media that covers East Windsor. So when you're framing out press releases, you got to think like, who is this going to? I mean, it's great to have a well put together press release, but if there's nobody to run it, it doesn't do you any good. It's just hollering into the wind.
Is the patch still around or is that all history? I haven't seen it. The patch.
Patch is changing, I think. The guy who covered us did a great job and he died.
Oh,
You can self,
Within the self-circulate?
You can
Post.
self-post sometimes, like you can make it do certain things. Yeah, I used to post for Patch.
Thank you. In March of 26, there was talk about creation of a video board and a shot list. My note, again, from December 19th was to move that a bit earlier into the sequencing, but it sounds like from the conversation that probably is where things are going to end up anyway. And then I hate to drop the mic here because I have to go take him to basketball like right now. But the last point that I had was May 2026 and beyond. After our conversation with the Donovan Group, I do think that we should be looking at a November referendum in conjunction with the general election. And I have a couple of ideas that I want to workshop with Patrick and Denise that we'll be able to bring back at a later time that I think might make that viable without costing us an additional year. So I will catch up later in the week if that's okay, but I do have to run because I am also the coach. And this is my whistle tonight.
I thought you were celebrating.
No, I couldn't find my whistle. It's literally on my head. It's a good look for you guys.
I mean, one thing I'll just, thanks, Jason.
The 23.
Good luck there.
Good luck, Eli.
The one thing I'll mention about the November, one of the reasons why I'm in agreement is you're going to have your highest voter turnout. And so it's another way to advocate saying that we want people's input and their engagement and their voice on it.
Sorry, I have to run, but I have to run.
Thank you.
see it.
And just to be clear, some of the hurdles with the November date have nothing to do with the state process. It's our charter process. So it's not the state process with the, has nothing to do with the state. A lot of districts do the November ballot date. Our charter's a little bit antiquated. So this is a charter revision. There would have to be some revisions that would allow us, that would not delay the project a year.
And Jason has an idea on how to get that hopefully accomplished. I think with that, do we want to go to public comment? Thank you so much for waiting for the public participation to speak.
Right at me, aren't you?
Yes.
I just want to say that this really makes a whole lot of sense, Liam. Betsy Laborious.
Identify yourself because I think,
Yeah.
you know,
My name is Betsy Laborious. I'm on the board of education.
Church Street 15
16 Church Street.
for the record.
That's right.
It's for.
So thank you for the calendar. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think planning backwards is really good. One thing I just, on our thing, on our pamphlet that we passed out, it did say community forum in January. So are we kind of So are we considering what we did? And that's probably what we have to do, of course, at this point, right? Is what Patrick did in terms of at the music, at the concert, he did kind of open it up. And if anybody asked about this, I'm just saying, if anybody asked about that, I think that's where we have to say, we at least gave people an opportunity to ask questions, right?
Well, and they are going to like the senior center, so I suppose we can say we're having
Yes.
all community forums.
Yes, I just want to be able to
Yeah.
have a rationale if somebody asks.
I mean, I think the simpler rationale, is when we developed that was with CSG, who's still, obviously our school construction group. That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But we have transitioned from utilizing really, I mean, if we're really being transparent, a lack of communication services to the Donovan Group.
Yeah.
And based on this, it's really a result of
It's
transitioning
totally
our.
understandable, Patrick. I'm thinking about ways that we can say, we have been doing this. It wasn't, full blown, but I totally understand that. The second thing one of the things I think is really important in terms of when we're looking at, again, need or what our goal is, what I don't see in here is meeting student needs as far as technology and IT, in terms of updating our schools. So our kids need, really good technology access. And I don't see that in here. And I would really think that that would be important as we're kind of looking at it. Also, I think what we're doing is we're meeting health and safety needs by updating our schools. Safety needs, I know for parents, is really high on the list. And so, when we're doing this, we're also kind of taking care of the safety needs in terms of,
add environmental to that too.
Right, exactly. And my last comment, and then I'm going to be quiet.
Sure you are.
Till we get home, yeah, he's lying.
My last comment is that, as we're moving forward, Liam and others, is we had a young person from the high school speak on behalf of the referendum. That was incredibly important, and I think it was a real important piece.
Budget, sharing budget.
Yes,
Very effective.
the student voice. If I could suggest that we consider having another, whether it's a senior or a junior would even be better because there still would be, have opportunity within the school just to speak on things. Because I think that's just, that just has appeal to parents, I think, and it's very direct. That's
I
all.
will also say, when we had, the town meeting on the track,
Yes,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
obviously those students arrived on their own,
they
but, I mean, as far as the advocacy and their ability to speak, I mean, I think it was fantastic.
it's for them too. As far as advocacy and what they need and want. So I would urge if we could do a video of them, if it's in person or not in person, just to have a little bit of coaching around that for a student, and I would say a high school student.
Those are great comments, Betsy. Thank you.
Is that a group of people or was that just like one kid with like 4 kids standing behind him?
No, for the track, there was at least 3.
Was the track that was over here, right? Where was it?
cafeteria.
That was in the Bravo cafeteria, the
Yeah.
meeting and the vote took place.
Yeah, they-
But-
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of
Yeah,
kids
but-
spoke up for that.
Yeah, but there was at least 3 or 4 kids that, spoke.
But at the town meeting, that was remember, Allison knew that.
The budget
Allison
was-
knew the student, right?
Oh, no, the person who, spoke was our student rep.
Yeah.
So,
Who had spoken at the track.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, she did. Yeah, she spoke. She was one of the ones that spoke.
And he would be great too, but it might be another student that would be
Comfortable doing that.
Yeah. Are all of the community meetings going to be in person or we're going to do some, Zoom meetings as well?
Be really challenged to do I mean, you're looking to engage them. I mean, I think there's a number of ways we can provide information and communicate electronically, but I really think you have to. And if you're going to have that number of people, it's really hard to set that up too.
Okay.
And still have it for people to view at least.
We could probably set it up so it could be.
Not one or the other, but perhaps maybe try one.
Yeah, we could do it as a recorded. That would
Keeping
be.
control of a Zoom for that large of a population might be kind of.
It can be done. It can be done. Zoom. I mean, I've done it for, 200 people. Not me, but staff does.
Any other public comment? Thank you, Betsy. No. Who's behind Betsy? Oh, Daryl. You can comment. He's not really public. Anything else? This was a great, thanks to the Donovan Group. Thank you so much, Liam, for all of this. Made for a very productive meeting and, we're looking forward to working with you.
Well, likewise, thanks for the opportunity and look forward to, kind of getting further beneath the hood here and making things happen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
I guess motion would be in order to adjourn then. Motion to adjourn
Guess I can second that.
at 6:40. Made by Courtney, seconded by David. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, you're adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. That's great. Now we're back on an exciting track.
No, I think